Assalamu alaikum everyone, welcome back to Billing Management System. Today is our lecture number 5. This is Ali Raza, and today I am going to demonstrate some of the modifications in the ledger that we have started in the previous lecture, and we'll also see the sales invoice in this particular lecture. So let's start and have a look what we have today in today's lecture. Alright, so let me demonstrate first what we have done up till now. We have created the vendors, the shops, the customers, and the bill till the customers. Okay, but one problem that I was thinking in the previous days, so let me tell you and discuss with you people also. When we are opening the account for the shop, okay, so this opening balance should not be here. The reason behind this is, let's say you are opening a shop and you are opening a balance for which particular customer, it is not mentioning here in this window. Likewise, you have the customers window. Here you have the opening balance, but this opening balance is with respect to which shop, so it is also missing here. So when we create this window, the sales invoice window, so in that sales invoice window, then we'll get the problem with respect to this opening balance. So this opening balance is with respect to which party or which account, so it is not mentioned here. So what I have decided, so I have decided to remove from these windows this opening balance and the code behind that. So let me go to first the customers window and remove that particular opening balance. Okay, so you have to remove this, and then because you are removing this, so then the changes should be take place here also. So go to the edit columns and remove this opening balance column, and remove this customer ledger ID also. You are only going to insert in one table. There is no need to insert in two tables. Okay, so that is a thing that I have to correct. So I have removed these two things here from this particular window, and let me close these things. Now what I can do, I can go to the code and correct the errors that will appear. Okay, yes, these are my errors. So the first thing is this: I have removed the opening text, so this validation should be removed, one thing. And then in the load customers, you have to remove this, and you have to remove this opening balance, save it. And then at this point, because you are only inserting the data, so you don't need to insert inside the ledger, so I am removing this code also. Okay, simple one table insertion code is now left here. That's one thing. Here you also have to change here in update part. So at this point, remove this code. Simple, I am removing simple the second table insertion code. Okay, I will do it later in the sales invoice and the other windows. And the last is this one. Okay, so I have removed this all. Now one more thing that I must do here is I have to go to the get customer method, the stored procedure. Okay, and I have to recreate or alter the query of that particular window. So stored procedures, what was the name? The name was st_get customers. So let's come here and open the st_get customers. Alright, so where it is st_get customers, here we have. So I am removing the inner join and the where condition also. So first thing that I am removing is this, the inner join, this one, and the condition also, and I am removing this ID. That's it. And the opening balance also, simple. Now execute this procedure. All things are now fine. Okay, likewise you have to remove the get shops. You have to update the get shops procedure, and you have to remove this vendor ledger ID from here. And I am removing this where clause and the inner join of the vendor ledger that I have created in the previous lecture. Okay, so please do update this for future enhancements. So execute this also. And now let us go to the shops window and do the same. So let us go to the shops. Here remove this opening balance, and here from the grid also you have to remove this opening balance column and this column also. And what else you have to remove here is, that's it. These are the things that you have to remove. Now let's go to the code and remove the similar things from this window. Look, the errors are there. Remove this VL ID, vendor ledger ID, and the opening balance. Okay, so I have removed these things. I have already updated the procedure get shops, and now I have to change the code here inside this. So after insertion in the one table, I am removing this code, simple. okay, and save it, and then go to the update part, and in this update part you are going to remove this one. So I have removed this code. Okay, sorry for that, but it's mandatory to do at this point, because in further windows we have the problem, we'll face the problem if you do not remove this code. Okay, now let me remove this also, because I don't have any further text box of the opening balance, and from this point you have to remove this, and at this point you have to remove this VLID also. That's it. Save it, and now execute the program. One more thing that I have to do here is to truncate the tables of the vendor ledger and the customer ledger. So login, and then shops. If you view the shops, only the shops are appearing, there is no opening balance, the data is there also. And if you go to the customers, now you view the customers. Okay, I don't have any customers, so let me add a customer first. Let's say Bilal, and then the shop from to which this customer belongs to, and then any email address, and then the phone number. Do maintain the tab index of this form. Okay, so click save. Bilal added successfully, and now look, the data is loaded here, and when I'm clicking here, an error is appeared. So that's what the error is, customer ledger ID. So I am going to remove this because I don't have the customer ledger ID. Okay, now that's fine. Let us run it again and verify. So remove that code that you have done for the second table of insertion, that is the customer ledger. View, click, all the data is now loaded perfectly with respect to their columns, and the serial numbers are also appearing here. Okay, so now what we have to do, we have to maintain this particular button and the window on this button, that is the sale invoice, because after doing all this, we are going to sell the products, we are going to put the bills, and then we're going to receive the payments from the customers also. So the first step is the billing window. So here at this billing window, you need to load the customers and the shops. So double click here and come here on the load, and what you need to load here first, the first thing that you have to load is the shops. So let me write here crude. Okay, there is no reference, so control dot and add using crude, that's my module. So crude dot load list, and then what it is asking you, the procedure. So get shops, copy this one and come here and put in double quotes and then comma, and then the procedure, that is the name of the controls that you have to enter, that is shop drop down. So come here and write here shop drop down, and then you have to mention here the value member in double quotes and the display member in double quotes. So the value member is the ID of the shop, and then the shop name. So that's my value member, and then the shop. That's it. So this is how my shop will be loaded. After that, what you have to do, you have to load the customers with respect to that shop. So what I can do, I can go to the get customers, that is my this one, and I am copying this whole code here, and I am creating a new procedure for that. With respect to the shops, I wanted to load the customers only, I don't want to load all the customers. So that's the security reasons, that's for security reasons. Okay, so get customers with respect to shop, and then create procedure, and then that's it. So here you have to apply a where clause, where s dot shop name or shop ID is equals to @ID. Okay, and then you have to come here and put a data type variable with the data type integer. That's it. So what will happen, whatever the ID of the shop will be, the data will be loaded, execute successfully. Now one more thing that you have to do is to go to your crude operations, and here you find your load list, but look, there is no parameters. So what you can do, in this method there are no parameters. So what you can do, you can just create an overloaded version of this load list with respect to the data. So copy it and paste it, and here you can pass two things, that is string param. Okay, the string param, and one more thing that you have to write here, that is object value. Simple. So what you can do now, you can come here and provide cmd.parameters.add with value, and then specify your parameter name that will be inside param that I will pass, and then the value that will be the value. Okay, now save it. And what you can do, you can now rebuild your crude module so that it will be updated inside the software. Now rebuild succeeded. Now what you can do, you can go to your billing window, and here after loading the shops, let me go to the customers window and select the billing window and select the customers, go to the properties and go to the events and use the focus enter event, so that as you enter in the customer drop down, you can get the lists. So what you can write here, if shop drop down dot selected index is not equals to -1, that means shop should be selected first, otherwise this event will not run. So copy this code and paste it here and change the procedure. Instead of get shops, you need get customers with respect to shop and then paste it, and then you have to load the customers inside customer drop down, and then let me that's my value member and that's my display member. So copy this display member because ID is the same and then paste. And now the last thing is the parameter. So @ID is my param, if I am not wrong. Yes, @ID is my param and my value is in integer, so convert dot to integer 32, and then shop drop down dot selected value dot to string. I hope it is clear to everyone. So as the focus received or you focused your customer, the customers will be loaded. Okay, and now let us rename this Windows heading. That will be sale invoice. Okay, and then save it and then go to your home screen at this point and rename this button with the name sales invoice. Okay, sales invoice. And now double click this button and come inside and copy this code and paste it here to open that window. That is my bill window. So billing window, copy and paste. You can rename it to sales window, no problem. So billing window is now ready. So let us start and have a look, is it working or not. One more thing that I have to do is to clear the ledgers by default that I have created. So login and then the sales invoice, and you notice here when you click it, all the shops are coming. And now as you focus here, only the customer of that particular shop is appearing here, simple. And when you select DEF, you can see, okay, one more thing that you have to change here is to clear the particular data source of the second drop down list. So in order to remove that, let me come here and go to the billing window, and before selecting this, let me remove the customer drop down dot data source is equals to null first, so that it can be blank. Let us check now, because the customer data source is already there, so you cannot alter that by default. So that's why I have created that null. So select your ABC garments and the customer is there. Okay, now select this and then see, you don't have your particular customer with respect to that garments. Okay, so I hope it is clear to everyone. And one more thing that you can do is on selection change of this shop, you can make this customer drop down empty. So let us go and do that. Billing window and shop, double click, and you can write here customer drop down. Whenever the selected index will change, customer drop down dot selected index is equals to -1. I hope it is clear to everyone. Let us see what will happen. So every time the selected index will change, the customer drop down will also become empty, should be empty. Okay, so login, bills, sales invoice, ABC garments, Bilal, and when you select DEF, look, there is no data. I hope it is clear to everyone. Now things are going perfectly fine. Now one more thing that you have to do is to change the icons of the buttons. Here you have, so let us go to the sample 2, open that sample 2 and select your buttons, this one, this one, this one, this one. So these are my buttons. I have pressed control and select clicks, and then the cursor is the hand. Yes, that's fine. And let me go to the login button, then login window. I think I have skipped that. So that's my login button. So here the cursor is by default it should be hand. So now that's fine. So save it. And now what you have to do, you have to do the code. Okay, so what things you have to enter here is the shop name, and then you select the particular customer, and then the order details and the date of the cell, and then you have to add a label again for the amount. So let me go to the text box and put it here at this point. That should be my amount. okay, that I'm going to sell amount, okay. And then what you can do, you can put here a particular name for this. So that's my amount text, and the length should not be more than 10 digits or 20, you can say. There is not more than 20 characters or the numbers. And now one thing that you have to do is, what else we can add here inside this sales invoice. Right, one option that you must give here, that should be the radio buttons. Let me select the radio buttons. Where are the radio buttons? Here we have. Okay, why I am picking up these? Because you are selling this item or the particular inventory to the customer on cash or on credit, so you have to mention that also. So pick up a label and then mention here sale type, okay, and then specify the radio buttons. That will be like this. Here you should write cash, and here you should write credit, okay, so that you can be easily judge whether the data should go in credit or whether the data should go in debit columns inside the database. Now that's fine. So select sale type. Let me arrange it properly at this point. Now that's fine, and that's also fine now, and that's also fine now. So cash, rename it to cash radio button, and you have to rename it to credit radio button, okay, credit RB. And then that's my amount text, that my date time picker 1, that's my order text, that my customer drop down, and my shop drop down, okay. Now that's fine. And then what you can do, you can specify the code now. So go to the code. Here you don't have the save and update and edit, so let's go to the sample 2 code and copy these buttons, the save button, the delete button, the search button, all that, okay. And then come here inside billing window and paste it here, simple. And then remove this virtual, copy and control H, and then overwrite, it should be there, and current document, and then replace all, simple. After that, what you have to do, first you have to come here and the first thing that you should do is to check the validate the controls, okay. So the first thing that you have to do is to validate the controls. So if main class, you don't have the main class, so main class control dot, okay, let me add using CMS, that's my module, and here you can write main class, okay, that's the M was capital. Now check controls, and you have to specify left panel, okay, and then dot count. If it is greater than 0, then what you have to do, you have to show the message. So from where you can pick up that message. Let's go to the customer window, go to the code, and then select this message instead of typing again and again. So that's my error message for my validations that I have applied. And now what you can do, you can come here and double click on your shop, and then if your shop drop down dot selected index is equals to -1, then what you can do, you can do the shop drop down dot back color, the validation part, right, color dot fabric, that's the red shade, and then else, otherwise the color should be white. So copy and paste and write here white, okay. So the validations will occur. And then go to the customer drop down. Here you also have to do the same. So let me copy that, copy this code and come here and paste it and apply customer drop down dot selected and index, and then copy this customer drop down, paste it and paste it. I hope it is clear to everyone. And then what you have to do, come here at the order details. So double click here. If order text dot text is equals to blank, then what you have to do, you have to make the color. So order text dot back color is equals to color dot fabric if it is blank, else specify the white color. So copy this code and paste it here. Okay, that's it. And then here you should write white. Simple. Now let us go to the date. So I don't want to go change the apply the validation here at this point. The amount, so amount, let me make it right to left, so that amount should be displayed from the right hand side. So text alignment right, and then save, and then you have to specify the amount. So double click here, and if okay, let me copy that, copy, and come here and paste. And instead of that text box, you can change from that to this amount text and paste, and then at this point paste. Okay, so all things are now set. One more thing that you can do, you can specify the regular expression by yourself, so that only the numbers or the figures can be applied here. I hope you can do that by yourself. Now one more thing that you have to mention here is that's fine. Let us see and check whether it is working or not. Okay, login, sales invoice, because on load you have the data bound controls, that's why that is appearing here. Okay, to come now it's fine. If you write here anything and if you make it blank, so it will become red. I hope it is clear to everyone, and same is the case here. And if you make it blank and then click save, so look, the things are mentioning here. So now that's fine. Now what you have to do, you have to, one more thing that I must check here, that is the radio buttons. Login, bills, and then when let's say if I clicked any of the radio button and click save, look, it's still validating this one. So it should not be validated once any of the radio button is clicked. So we have to see review the radio button validation code. So what you can do, select your radio button, and here you can see any property that can be useful for this radio button. Let me check. Okay, so at this point let me change its properties to allow drop, so that these controls will not be validated. Let me show you, and I will manually validate, because these things are not specified in the backend code of the module that I have used for validation. Sales invoice, and when you click save, look, these controls are now not validating because I have changed the property of allow drop here. See previous lectures for this allow drop case that I have mentioned in the previous lectures. Now what you can do, you can come here and double click on your load, and by default after doing this you have to make the shop color, shop drop down dot back color is equals to color dot white. Okay, now that's fine. By default the color should become white again. Let me show you one more time. Login, sale invoice, look, now the color is by default white. Okay, and look, when you are focusing here, the color is red again. So what you can do, you can come inside your billing window and remove that validation. So go to the focus. Where is that focus? So on focus, enter. What should happen first? After selecting this one, you have to make the color white again. So copy this code and paste it here, and you have to write here customer drop down. Simple. Okay, so let us see what will be the result now. Login, sales invoice, shop. Look, on focus center nothing is happening. When it will be cleared, then the validations will be applied. Now that's fine. Now let's go to the code and do the insert. So look guys, you are selling the goods to the customer. Okay, so the amount should be or the products, you can say, if you talk about it with respect to the products, so the products are going or adding with respect to the customer. If I talk about the customer is getting the assets, let's say, or its inventory is increasing, so the amount should be debited inside the customer's account, and the amount that you have entered here should be credited from the vendor or the shop account. I hope it is clear to everyone. So two transactions will occur here at this window, and then One more thing that you have to see here is the cash or the credit. If you are selecting the cash amount, that means you are receiving the cash, you are giving it cash or credit. We'll see it later that how can you manage this cash or credit. Okay, so let me first go and do the code for this particular thing. So do we have a table for that? No, we don't have the table for that. So let us create a table for sale invoice. So create table sale invoice. Okay, and then come inside and si underscore id, big integer, not null, identity and primary key, then si underscore name, or not name, the shop id. Okay, the invoice on for which the shop of this shop id that I'm going to create, that is the name of the shop, the id of the shop id, that should be the foreign key, and then references, and then the table name of the that should be the shops. Okay, let me show you tables. Look, that's my shops. Okay, so inside shops the id is integer, so I have taken this also integer, and you can specify here s underscore id, on delete no action, on update no action. Okay, so that's the relationship that I have created here. Then after shop id, what you are going to create here, the customer id. So customer id, and that should be the same, so copy it and paste it. Let me show you the customers. So customer id is also an integer, so here you can specify c underscore id, and then the table name should be customers, and then specify comma, yes, comma is there, customer, sorry, si underscore customer id, that's fine, and then customers, and then references, foreign key. Okay, that's fine. Now what you have to specify here, si underscore, let me see the shop id, the customer id, the details, so details, and then varchar 500. You can add as many detail as you wish to, and then that's it. So I think I have done some mistake. Si underscore id integer, foreign key, there is not null, so that's fine, and here it should also become not null. Okay, and then on delete no action, on update no action. I hope it is clear now. The errors are resolved. Now what you have to write here, there should be no action also. That's fine. On delete no action, on update no action, that's fine. And then errors are removed, and then si underscore, what you have to provide here, the amount. So the amount, and then it should be in money, and then not null, and then si underscore type, tiny integer, either cash or either credit, and then not null. We will put 0 for cash, and for credit we'll insert 1. So that's it. No other details should be there. And one more thing that you should enter is the user id, because who is saving this sale invoice, so that for security reasons you have to mention there. So who is the user? Let us see the columns. User underscore id, that is integer. Okay, so we have to create the reference also, so copy that foreign key code and paste it here, and then foreign key, and here you can write users, and then u underscore id, and then on delete no action, and on cascade no action. Okay, so that's fine. On update no action, and then on delete no action. That's it. So sale invoice table should be created. Now after creating this table, let us create the procedures for that. Create procedure st underscore insert sales invoice. Okay, and then come here, and what you can pick up, this is a stored procedure, so @ shop id integer, not null, sorry, not null is not there, @ cust id integer, then @ details, and then that should be nvarchar 500, and then @amount, that should be money, and then you have to specify the type, that is in tiny integer, and then you have to specify the user ID, and that should be an integer, and and then insert into table name is sales invoice, and then values, and then insert respectively shop ID, then cust ID, then details, and then amount @amount, and then specify the type. Okay, and then you have to specify the user ID. That's it, and then execute this stored procedure. Execute. Commands completed successfully. Copy now and update. So update sales invoice. Okay, and then here you have to pass the @sale invoice ID, that is big integer, and as update update table name first, sale invoice, set si underscore shop ID is equals to @shop ID, then si underscore cust ID is equals to @cust ID, and then si underscore details, that is my details @details, and then si underscore amount is equals to @amount, and then si underscore what do you have then, type equals to @type, and then you have si underscore user ID, so is equals to @user ID, where si underscore ID is equals to @sales invoice ID. Okay, so that's my update procedure. Execute it. Now that's fine, and now what you have to do, you have to create a delete procedure. So create procedure st underscore delete sales invoice as @id big integer, and then delete from, okay, one more thing, yes, delete from sale invoice, and then where si underscore id is equals to @id. Okay, so you have specified the id. Okay, what's the problem? Okay, that's the problem. Delete and then id. So execute. Now what you have to do, you have to open your customer ledger and vendor ledger. So you have to truncate that, truncate table customer ledger, copy and paste, and here you should write vendor ledger, so that the data will be cleared up, because of in the previous lecture I have entered some data. So commands completed successfully, customers ledger is empty and vendor ledger is empty. So on this window you have to enter that inside this for after insertion. So let's go to the billing. So where is my save button? Let us go to the save button. At this point, else come inside and write here if edit is equals to 0, because that's my save code. We know why we are applying this. Those who are following me properly, they know why I have done this. Edit is equals to 0. Copy it and paste it, and here write edit is equals to 1 for updation, and then that's it. Okay, so come inside. Now what you have to do, you have to check first if cash RB. Okay, one more thing that you have to do, you have to create an integer variable. So integer 16, that is the type is equals to, and you can write here cash RB dot checked and question mark, and then you can specify 0 for cash and 1 for you can use 1 for you can see you can 1 for the credit. Okay, So what is saying that you cannot convert integer to short. So what you can do, you can convert it to integer 16. Okay, convert dot to int 16, specify 0, and then copy this one, paste it here, and specify 1. That's it. Okay, so I must mention here 0 is for cash and 1 is for credit. Okay, and now you can, what you can do, one more thing that you can do, you can make this type as nullable. Okay, so what you can do now, you can come here and check if type is not equals to null. That means any of the radio button is selected. Okay, so that's the validation that you have to apply. And one more thing that you have to do is you have to do this right below, right above that. Okay, so that it can be checked globally inside this domain. Now if the type is not equals to null, then what you can do, and one more thing that you can do, you can make it global also. Cut it and then come here and then paste it, and then cut this code and then come inside. So that's checked globally. Okay, then now your radio buttons will not become null. Let me cut it and paste it here. That's fine. So now your edit is now same, and then update is also same. So for update, here you can specify update. Now for saving, what you have to do, you have to simply call the customers window, let's say, and you have to create the hash table and all the things, and that copy this code, simple, and then come here and paste it. Okay, before doing that, I must mention the using transaction scope, because I am going to insert in multiple tables. So transaction scope sc equals to new transaction scope, so that at this point no one can change or no one can use. So why it is not working, because you have to pass the reference. So press control dot using transaction. Okay, transaction scope is not there. So what you can do, you can go on the top and right here using system dot transactions. Look, transaction is still not coming. So transactions, no problem, just right here and then go to your references inside BMS and go to the add reference and add transactions. Okay, so go to the assemblies and right here transactions. So using system dot transaction is there, and then click OK. Now it is added and updated. Now what you can do, you can use the sc.complete method. What's the benefit of transaction? It will protect your data and your one operation. When somebody is doing this operation, no other can do or change that particular data. I hope it is clear to everyone. And it will also protect that, let's say if you are inserting in data inside two tables, or you are doing multiple tasks with multiple queries. So if one query fails or another queries will are executed, then what it can do, it will do the rollback operation if any of the error occurs during the time of that complete operation. So it will roll back the previous things also. So I hope it is clear to everyone what is the benefit of transaction. Okay, and now what you can do, you can come inside and you can write the save code, that code that I should write here, that is the code, copy, and then come here and now paste it. Okay, now hash table, remove this, remove this, remove this, remove this, remove these things also. Hash table, for that press control dot using system dot collections. Hash table is added. Remove this code, remove all these codes one by one. I hope it is clear to everyone up till now. Now press save, and now what you have to do, you have to remove this procedure also. So the first thing that you have to go and pick up here is the insert sales invoice. Copy it and then paste it. And the next thing that you have to do is the parameters. So @shop ID, paste it. @customer ID, paste it. @details, paste it. @amount, paste it. And now you need more, so copy and paste and paste. After amount you have type, copy it and paste it, and then you have the user ID, that is this one, so copy it and paste it here. Okay, and now how can you get the shop ID? So convert dot to integer 32 and specify the shop ID, that is shop dropdown dot selected value dot to string. Okay, so that's my insert code for that one, this shop. And now copy and paste for customer dropdown, so that's my customer dropdown. Okay, and then the details, so details text box, details, what is the name of that thing, let me order text. Okay, so you can write here order text, and then the amount, so amount text. Okay, so amount was in money, so amount text dot text, and you have to convert into float, convert dot to double. Okay, and then round brackets, and then the type, so the type you have already picked up from the type variable, so type, and then the user ID. How can you pick up the user ID? Now look, that's an interesting point. So main class dot no, not that main class, that is the login. Okay, there is no login, so login, just write login and then press control dot, because I have used it in the module using authentication. So login dot user ID. Look guys, from the very previous beginning I have created these properties so that my user ID will be picked up automatically, and the data type of this is integer, and I also have to pass the integer. Okay, see previous lectures, previous softwares, previous tutorials, so that you can be able to find how I have created this login module and the authentication module. Okay, so that's what I have done up till now. Now what you have to do, you have to remove this code here, and you have to write here sales invoice added successfully into the system, and then you can use the crystal reports and all that, and you have to use the loading of the sales window. So for that purpose, let us go to the top and create this, copy this and come here in the billing, and then at this point you have to paste it here, and instead of this customers you have to write load sales invoice. But one more thing that you have to do here is remove these things, then remove and remove. Okay, and then you don't have the grid view here, so go to the customers window, copy this grid and then paste it here in the billings window, save and save all. Okay, now here what you need the shop name and the shop ID, the customer name and the customer ID. So shop ID and shop name is there, customer ID and customer name is there, and now what else you need? Let us see. You need the order details, you need the date, you need the amount, and you need the type. So let me close this one, and now it's fine. Edit. What I need the details, so order, or you can write here details, and then you can specify its column name as details GV, and then you need the date, that should become the date GV, so date, and it should be date GV. And then what you need, the amount, so create a new column, amount GV, and here you can specify the amount, it should be read only, and then the type GV, so type GV, and then it should be the type. Okay, and then visible. That's it. So all things are now set, and then click OK. Yeah, one more thing you have to specify is the user, so you have to select the user here also. So you need user ID GV and user, or you can write here generated or posted by. Okay, so posted by, use some terms, professional terms for there. So posted by, so you need to mention posted by here, and then the user ID, where is that user ID? Okay, that's my mistake here. You should write user ID GV, and it should not be visible, so visible false. Now one more column you have to add is the user GV, and here you specify the posted by heading. Okay, so posted by, it should be visible and read only, and then click OK. So all things are now set. What you have to do now, you have to mention these columns and you have to use the get procedure for that for loading this data here. Okay, so one more thing we have to do, we have to go to the code and first select the last balance of the customer. So select top one balance. Okay, from you can pick up customer ledger CL, and you can write here top one CL dot balance as balance, or you do not write balance here because I will tell you why. From balance where CL dot customer ID is equals to, let's say, 1, and with respect to that customer ID you have to specify. Can you specify the shop ID here? Let me think for that. Is shop IDs should be there. The customer, the one particular customer can belong to that particular shop. Okay, so it's better to add the shop ID also. It's worthwhile. Okay, so what you can do here, CL dot, do we have the, okay, we have to make then an inner join with the shop. So inner join shops s on s dot ID is equals to c dot, do we have the customers? No, we don't have the customers. So first of all we have to apply the join with customers. So customer c on c dot customer ID is equals to CL dot customer ID, one thing, and then other thing should be copy and paste, and then here you can specify the shop, and here you can write s, remove this line on s dot ID is equals to c dot belongs to shop ID. Okay, so that's fine, and now you can specify that s dot ID is equals to add 1. Let's say the shop ID is 1 and the customer ID 1. Select the balance of that customer, that shop, and you can specify order by descending. Order by, you can write here CL dot ID descending. Okay, and now that's one query. Okay, and you are selecting the customer ledger for this, and one more thing that you have customer balance for that. Now you can copy and put it inside round brackets and make it one query, and write here comma and write here round brackets, and then come inside and paste this same query, and instead of customers you are writing here what you can write here, the okay, one more thing that you have to do here is, okay, what you can do, you can remove this shop ID because customer is unique. His ID will be also unique, so you don't need to write the inner join, and that's it. And then here you can remove the you can write here vendor ledger and rename it to VL, and you can join it with the shops. So remove this customer, and then you can specify VL dot balance of that vendor with respect to the shop, and then here you write VL dot shop ID. Okay, and then where you don't need to write the customers at this point. Okay, so the balance of that shop will be picked up, and you can specify order by VL dot ID. Okay, so don't worry about these errors. What now I can do, I can write here simple select. Look, so what is happened here, basically that's my one column, and then comma, that's my other column. So I have applied two nested subqueries, and if you put in it on one line, then you can understood it more clear. So I hope you are getting me what I'm doing. Okay, so I am picking up with the help of this one single query the top one balance of the customer and the top one balance of the shop. Okay, and then specify here this thing and then put it on one line so that you can be easily understand what's going on. That's why I have mentioned it on separate line. Okay, remove this. Now it's fine. Okay, it is visible, I hope, to everyone. So okay, one more thing that you have to do, remove extra spaces, now brackets, and now if you specify comma, look, so select one thing, that's the top balance of that particular shop. So you can specify here as now and specify the customer balance heading. Okay, customer balance, and then as you can specify here the shop balance. Okay, shop balance. So what will happen, the top balance and ordered by the last balance of that customer and that of that vendor or the shop will be picked up. I hope it is clear to everyone. Now what you can specify, you can use it, you can execute this procedure and see both are null. And now what you can see, you can put here a method that is null. If it is null, then expression, that's my expression, and then comma, and what's the second thing that you have to pass? If it is null, then pass 0. And same is the case, copy and then put it is null and then put it at the end, comma 0. That means if the data is null, then show 0. So look, because I don't have any data, so the data is coming as 0. Okay, so I hope it is clear to everyone. Now let me make a stored procedure for this. So create procedure st underscore get last balances, okay, as, and simply you will get the last balances of the customer and the shop. So execute. Commands completed successfully, but the problem is you have to pass here two parameters, that is @cust id, and you have to pass here integer and @shop id, and you have to pass here integer. So where you should do pass these, so that's my customer id, so write here cust id, and here you have to write @shop id. So whatever the customer id or the shop id you will be giving, their balances will be picked up. I hope it is clear to everyone. Save it now. Sorry, don't save it, alter this procedure because I have already created that. Execute. Commands completed now successfully. Now what you have to do, before saving that, you have to pick up the balances of the two things that you have picked up. So come here and specify the columns first. Okay, let me first give the columns. So comment it out, first save the data here, comment or remove this code. Now after inserting the data, insert the sales invoice, we come inside, and inside the ledger what do you have to do, you have to mention what, let me show the object explorer. Let us go to the customer ledger and the vendor ledger. So that's my customer ledger table that I have created in the previous lectures. So the customer ID and then all the things that you have to mention here. So let's go and insert in this. For that purpose I have to use another hash table, copy it, and then I have to paste it here. Okay, and this should be my st2. So after inserting in my first, insertion will take place inside my first table, I'm going to my second table now. Okay, so that my hash table. Now insert customer ledger. So go to the procedure, insert customer ledger, open that procedure. Okay, okay, so the first thing is the customer ID. We have the customer ID, so remove this. Okay, we have the customer ID. Then we have to pass the description, so we have to pass the description here, and then we have to pass the debit. So remove this, and then you have to copy and you have to paste it, and then you have the balance, copy it and then paste it, and then you have the date, so copy it and you have to paste it here. Okay, and now user ID, so customer ID is there already, so what I can do, I can cut it from here and paste it here. Okay, and then the description, so the description is in the description text or the order text. Okay, one more thing that you can see, you have already stored the details here inside the table. This table is my sales invoice table. So isn't it repeating? So what you can do, you can specify the sales invoice ID inside the sales invoice table, inside the customer ledger. So what you can do, you can specify that also. Okay, so it's up to you what you are going to, how you are trying to do this. So order text, in the description you write order text dot text, and then you have to create 3 variables. Let me create that first. So right here, float or double, use double balance equals to 0 comma debit equals to 0 comma, and this task I have created inside the previous lecture. So but I am going to create again, because so that you can be able to understand, don't confuse. So debit and then credit equals to 0. Now I have created 3 variables at the global position, and after that, at this point, what you can see, you can order text here, then debit. So before entering debit, credit and all this, you have to check if convert dot to double and then amount text is greater than 0, then come inside, and what you can do, you can cut this, paste it, you can cut it and paste it. Okay, so if the amount is greater than 0, that means that convert dot to double, and yes, this is the one, cut it and paste it. So the amount is debited. If the amount is greater than 0, is it the correct way? No, because here you are selling the things to the customer. So when you are inserting inside the customer, so the amount should be debited. Simple. Okay, you don't need to write here this. Simple. Okay, so you are giving it to customer. So this hash table I have created to insert inside the customer ledger. So amount text is debited, and the credit should go as 0, and the balance should become, let me write here, balance is equals to balance plus debit minus credit. Okay, that's the formula, and it should be at the top. Okay, after this, so, and you can specify debit is equals to what you can specify here, the amount text. So convert dot to double, and right here amount text dot text. Okay, and then you write here credit, that is 0 by default, and then you have calculated the balance. Okay, and now what you can pass, you can simply give here the debit, and then the credit is 0, so you write here credit, and then the balance is become the balance. Okay, so the 3 things you have passed now inside your customer invoice ledger, customer ledger you can say. And then what's next? Customer ID, description you passed, debit credit balance you have passed, and then the date. So the date is, that should be the today's date, or you can pick up the date from this billing window. So that's my date time picker 1. So you can come here and you can use that date time picker 1. So date time picker 1 dot value. Okay, so that's how you can pick up the date, and then you have to use the crude operations. So crude dot st underscore insert, sorry, this one, and then write the procedure. So the procedure name should become insert customer ledger. Copy it and then paste it, and what you have to pass here, the hash table, that is st2. okay, so the data will be inserted inside the customer ledger also, and now you have to insert inside the vendor ledger also. So the things should now change. So copy this and then you have to paste it below, and here you can pick up the amount and you make it 0 debit, put it inside credit, and now the balance will be calculated, and that will become my hash table 3, and here you can specify 3 everywhere. Okay, so I am inserting data inside 2 tables. So you can see there is no need for this table also. There is no need for this table. What? Because the description you are entering inside this, and the other things you are entering inside this. So that's enough. So you can omit this table also. Okay, it's your choice. Now what you can do, hash table 3, hash table 3, hash table 3, and now it should become the vendor ledger insert. So right click and insert vendor ledger. So where's that? Insert vendor ledger. Right click, modify. Okay, so copy this name and come here and paste it. Okay, and it should become the st3. So what will happen, the reverse effect will happen here, because you are selling things, so the amount will be the credit from the vendor or the shop, and the debit is 0, and then the balance is this, and then these things should change. That should not be the customer ID, that is shop ID. Copy it and then paste it, then description, debit, credit, balance, and date, all things are same, and insert vendor ledger, and that's it. Okay, so what will happen when you run this code, the transaction will begin, and then the data is inserted inside sales invoice. Okay, so okay, let us remove the sales invoice, comment it out for the particular time being. Okay, so we don't need that. Control K C, and then remove this at the back end at this point. Control K C also. So now what will happen, only 2 insertions will going to take place, that is this one and that is this one. Okay, let us check the results. What is the result after insertion? Build started, build succeeded, and now login, sales invoice. Okay, one thing that we have skipped before going to check, we have to pick up the last balances and we have to store there. So how can you pick up the last balance? Let me write here. So let us go to the retrieval or the CRUD class, CRUD, and you have to specify the public static void load last balances, so that I can use it everywhere. Load last balance, and then try catch, and then come inside SQL command, cmd equals to new SQL command, and then specify your procedure, string procedure, and then string params, param1, and the value object val1, and then you have to specify. Okay, you can use the hash table here also, so that it can become easy for you. So but right now I'm doing this string param2 is equal comma, and then object val2. Okay, so 2 parameters I'm going to pass here. So come here and write procedure, then main class. Okay, so there is no main class. Oh, no, that's my mistake. So main class dot connection, and then cmd dot command type is equals to command type dot stored procedure. Then okay, one more thing that you can do, it's more better than this one. So you can specify the hash table. So hash table ht, that's a little bit easier. Now what you can specify, for each dictionary entry, you can select iDictionary item in hash table, and then cmd dot parameters dot add with value, and here you specify item dot key dot toString, it is this, and then item dot value, item dot let me check that dictionary, what is that thing, dictionary entry is the, copy it, and then here you have to paste, that's my thing. So then key dot value, and then that's it. Okay, so all the parameters will be added, and then what you can do, you can SQL data reader dr is equals to cmd dot execute reader, close it, if dr dot has rows, and then come inside, and while dr dot read, come inside, and you have to return the balances. So let me write here double array, and you can create a double array here inside. So double amounts is equals to new double, and you can specify the length, that is 2, not more than that, and you can specify amounts of 0 is equals to, you can specify convert dot to double, and then dr of dot toString. Okay, so that the value will be picked up from the database. At 0th column you have what, let me show you. At 0th column you have this thing, the customer ledger. Okay, so and then the vendor ledger. So come here and copy and then paste, and at first index you are picking up the first column or the second column, in short. So this is how you can retrieve, and then the last is the return. So write return amounts. Okay, that's it. So the array will be returned when you call this method, and let me execute this crude rebuild. Okay, now it's fine. So rebuild succeeded. Now what you have to do, you have to come here in the billing window, and you have to call the balances. So where you have to call the balance, let me call here. So you have to write crude dot load last balance, and you have to specify the procedure for that purpose. The procedure name is this, copy and paste, and here you have to create another hash table. So hash table load ht is equals to new hash table, and then load ht dot add, and specify the parameters that are cust id, and one more parameter that you have to pass, that is the shop id. Okay, copy it and then paste it. So no, that's fine, shop id, and now here you have to specify the customer id. So copy it and paste it, and here you have to specify the shop id. So shop id. Okay, the shop id will be picked up. Now what you have to do, you have to write your load balances, and you have to write your load ht. Okay, so what will happen, you have to create a double array dd is equals to this. So the values will be picked up inside 0 0 and 0 and 1, and now you can specify at this point, because that's the inside customer ledger, so the last balance of the customer should be picked up. So what I can do, I can write here balance is equals to dd of 0. Okay, customer balance, specify your customer balance, and then copy this code, and before this you have to paste it, and you have to write here shop balance. okay, and it should become dd1. Now that's fine. Okay, so put it backward in one line, and this also. That's it. So that's fine. All the things are now set. The balances will be picked up from the database or the backend, and here it should also be picked up from the database. So let us try and see what's the result. Right now the things are 0. Load sales invoice, shop is ABC garment, customer is Bilal, order details, clothes and t-shirts, clothes and shoes, let's say. Okay, and the date is this, the amount is, let's say, 10,000. okay, and the thing is cash, and then click save. Sales invoice added successfully. Now let us go to the database and verify the tables. First of all, go to the customer ledger, get customers, no, the tables. Where is the table? Okay, it is hanging a little bit, sorry for that. Okay, so customer ledger, right click on it and then check what's the data inside this customer ledger. Alright, so you can see that the customer got this thing, so the amount is debited inside the customer and the balance is 10,000. Now the customer will have to pay when the amount you are going to receive. Okay, the credit is 0, and the reverse effect should be there in the vendor ledger. So let me show you the vendor ledger. Right click here and then show its data also. So notice guys, we have inside credit because that's my shop. So at this shop ID the data is in credit and the balance is in minus 10,000. So what will happen when you receive the amount will be debited inside the debit. So I hope it is clear to everyone. So that's all for today. Hope you have understood that what's the things going on at the back end and the accounting part. If you do not understand anything, please do write me. Thank you so much. Take care. Allah Hafiz.